you know what I got to do? I got to tweet Uncle Pat. So last night I get on Twitter and I tweet at Patrice Evra going, Uncle Pat, I love you, man. I need you to do me a favor. You need to reach out to your countryman Leny Yoro and let him know how much you love this game playing in Manchester. Basically wore out his time at Manchester United, I think. I think it's time for Scott McTominay to go. He only has 1 year left on his contract, and if we don't sell him now, we can trigger the extension next season, but we're going to sell him for like half of what we would be able to sell him for now. I'm actually scared that he's going to turn that gig down. I'm actually kind of nervous that he's not going to be willing to move, and he's going to stay, and then we have a Casemiro. Now, don't get me wrong, Casemiro 2 seasons ago was a good player, so I'll take that. I hope that's not the case. And by the way, if this is a bullshit story, and if that is a bullshit outlet, then fuck you, Relevo, for ruining my night. Because this is I hate these kind of outlets like what we have here in America is like a National Enquirer where all they do is spread bullshit. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Thank you for clicking on the thumbnail and choosing to be here with us watching our content. Thank you so much for all the likes and the subscriptions I've got lately. Let's get it right into the news. So one thing I want to bring up is for the last 2 days, all I've been thinking about is Leny Yoro and how much of a game changer this would be if he actually decides to come to Manchester United over Real Madrid. It would be the story of the summer. It would be the biggest thing that happens this summer. Mark my words. I don't care if Chelsea signed Victor Osimhen. I don't care if Real Madrid start dancing around talking about how they just signed Kylian Mbappe. It won't matter because everybody knew Kylian Mbappe was going to go there. Even that is no longer the biggest story of the summer. If Leny Yoro chooses to come to Manchester United over Real Madrid, it will be the biggest story of the summer. So I've been thinking about where's the opportunity here? Like what would make him choose Manchester United? And obviously, a couple things I thought about, which I already mentioned in the video before, is that Manchester United is at least showing that we value the player. Unlike Real Madrid, who thinks the player should value them, right? But I was thinking, other than Champions Leagues and the fact that he'd be living in Spain instead of Manchester, why would Leny Yoro want to go to Real Madrid? And obviously it's because they have a lot of French players there now, and they have Kylian Mbappe, who's also French, and he'd probably feel more comfortable in that dressing room on a day-to-day basis, whereas I can't think of a French player that we have. I don't think we have any. If I'm missing someone, or if I'm having like a brain fart moment, guys, leave it in the comments below, but I don't think we have any French players, at least not in the first team that plays regularly. And I was thinking, like, you know what I got to do? I got to tweet Uncle Pat. So last night I get on Twitter and I tweet at Patrice Evra going, Uncle Pat, I love you, man. I need you to do me a favor. You need to reach out to your countryman Leny Yoro and let him know how much you love this game playing in Manchester at Manchester United, and let him know that he needs to come to Manchester United and be a part of this family. And then I go to sleep. And then I wake up this morning, and my whole Twitter feed is all about how Patrice Evra got sentenced to 12 months in French prison for family abandonment. And I was like, no way, this has got to be a joke. And I keep looking. No, there's multiple stories talking about how Patrice Evra got sentenced to 12 months in prison. And right away, I start feeling bad for Patrice. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope French prison is nothing like American prison. Because this man has way too many Instagram videos where he's dancing around, shaking his ass, and sometimes even wearing a wig and acting like a woman, where I'm like, somebody in prison is going to have one of these photos or videos ready to go. And they're going to hit him up. And they're going to be like, hey, I heard you like games. We got a game for you to play. And then they're going to, show him a new game. And he's not going to love that game. I love this game. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to love that game, man. Shit, Patrice, I hope you're okay. Okay. Talking about forced fornication, our next story should be about Mason Greenwood, of course. What? What did I say? It's a perfectly logical segue. Mason Greenwood looks like he is not willing to go to Marseille. It looks like he is going to force us to sell him to an Italian team, probably Lazio, for a lot less money. Or a little less money. Point is, less money. So Mason Greenwood, I think, is making this deal a lot more difficult than it needs to be. At least that's my opinion. I don't know what's going on or what's actually going on, but we've accepted a bid. Their manager has already said that he's going to protect him like a son. And Mason Greenwood and them haven't struck a deal yet. Well, that tells me that there's an issue on probably Mason's side. So I think we might have to take less money and sell him to Lazio. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Leave a comment down below. Is that cool? The team does need the money. So I'm hoping Mason Greenwood can find it in his heart to go to Marseille. But if not, I hope Lazio can find it in their wallet to pay some more and take him for the same deal that we have with Marseille. Maybe with a little less sell-on clause, but still a sell-on clause. Because he's going for a lot cheaper than what the footballer is worth. The next story is about Scott McTominay. It looks like Scott McTominay has some interest from Turkey, which I don't understand. Why are we talking to Galatasaray for Scott McTominay? Why isn't someone coming in from the Premier League? Like a mid-level club in the Premier League can really use a Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay is not a bad player. He's just basically wore out his time at Manchester United, I think. I think it's time for Scott McTominay to go. He only has 1 year left on his contract, and if we don't sell him now, we can trigger the extension next season, but we're going to sell him for like half of what we would be able to sell him for now. So we might as well, sell him now. We're doing a whole roster cleanup anyway. We're bringing in a bunch of new guys, new coaches. This is a part of the whole cleanup and build again. So Scott McTominay needs to go, but I'm not sure why Galatasaray and why not a Premier League club. And then I thought maybe Scott wants to go to a Champions League team. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. The only thing that makes sense to me is that Scott wants to play in the Champions League. He doesn't want to end up at a mid-level club where he knows he's got no chance of playing Champions League again. It's the only thing that makes sense, and if that's the case, then Galatasaray does make sense, but we're going to make a lot less money on his sale than we would have if he would go to a mid-level Premier League team. They would pay at least 10 or 15 million more than what Galatasaray is going to play. So there's another player who I think we're going to lose for a lot less money than he's worth. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Let me know if I'm on the right track here, guys. By the way, guys, if you're with me for this long so far and you like what I do, drop a like, guys. The last video got 50 likes in 1 day and literally got me 40 new subscribers in 2 days. I have never done that kind of number, and it's thanks to you guys. Thank you very, very much for helping me out and doing your part and showing me support. Is just drop that like. Thanks again. I owe you guys literally everything. That the fun I'm having making this content. I mean, I have a full-time job. I'm just doing this for fun, but honestly, those likes, those subscriber counts going up, that's what keeps me motivated. That's what made me want to make a video today, 2 days after I already had made a video. And literally I have to work tomorrow. I know it's the weekend for most of you guys, but I do sometimes have to work on the weekends. But don't worry, I'm going to get this video done hopefully sooner than the last video took me so I can go to bed and go to work. Thanks again. Drop a like. Let's keep going. So the next story I want to talk about is Casemiro. I'm not even sure if Casemiro wants to leave and move his family to Saudi Arabia or not. I'm actually scared that he's going to turn that gig down. I'm actually kind of nervous that he's not going to be willing to move and he's going to stay and then we have a Casemiro. Now, don't get me wrong. Casemiro 2 seasons ago was a good player, so I'll take that. But we should then sign Amrabat on the cheap, which is why I think we're considering signing Amrabat. I think we're probably going to sign Amrabat no matter what. Maybe. I think we're going to, maybe. Well, the reason why I say that is because it doesn't make sense not to have 2 DMs. But then again, we keep hearing about this Toby kid who's being promoted from the academy. Erik ten Hag was even there at his signing. And Erik ten Hag was adamant that he'd be there at Toby's signing. I think he's the next discovery, if you will, that Erik ten Hag is going to make in an academy player he brings up to the first team. And I've heard a lot of good things about Toby. I don't really know how he plays. I've only watched 1 academy game that he played in, and he was good, but it's still an academy game. It doesn't really mean anything. I don't really know how tough he is and how, because that position in midfield is a tough position to play. You've got to have some guts. You got to get stuck in. You got to go in for some tackles. You got to win the ball back, and then you got to stay on your feet. So I don't know if he's good enough, or if we need Amrabat to come in and be Casemiro's backup, or if this kid Toby can be his backup, or hey, worst case scenario, we sign Amrabat and we have 3 players. But then again, signing Amrabat means less money in the purse for us to go buy other things we need, because we still need a left back and we're still not sure who we're going to sign. I still haven't heard any stories about left backs, which brings me to my other point. I think they're going to wait for signings before they start to really go after these other positions that are not, let's say, priority. Right now, our priorities are center backs, obviously, because we already signed Joshua Zirkzee, which, by the way, I forgot to talk about. Joshua Zirkzee is in. I'm happy about it. I hope you're happy about it too. I think Joshua Zirkzee and Rasmus Højlund, those are 2 different types of strikers or forwards. It gives us nice balance, and also we can play them up front together if we want to try like a 4-2-2 formation in certain games. We basically played a 4-2-2 formation in the FA Cup final. As far as I'm concerned, that's what it looked like to me. It did not look like a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. And I think that they two will complement each other, and he's basically a better version of what we were asking Scott McTominay to do. That's another reason why we need to sell Scott McTominay. We just don't need him anymore now that Joshua Zirkzee's in, because he's a better version of what we were asking McTominay to do. We weren't asking McTominay to play as a 6. He was playing as like a false 9 or a striker or an attacking midfielder. He wasn't playing as a 6, that's for sure. Anyway, let's get back to the point. I think we're going to need to make some sales so that we can start looking at other things. And then also, I want to bring up Christopher Vivell in this conversation. We don't hire a talent ID specialist, somebody who's coming in to identify talent, and he's on a short-term contract. He's on a temporary contract because he has to prove his worth to us that he can actually do the job, and then maybe we'll give him a long-term contract. So he basically only has this window and the January window. And the January window is pretty hard to do business in. You only get 1, maybe 2 signings done in January. Maybe 1 signing and 1 loan. Summer is when you do most of your buying. So this guy's here, and he's going to present a list of names, and he's going to identify talent, as his title suggests. And then we're going to take a look at that talent, and we may or may not sign them. So we don't hire this guy not to identify talent. And all the interest that we've heard of lately, like Ugarte, Zirkzee, who else? Ugarte, Zirkzee, De Ligt, Branthwaite, Yoro. These are all people we heard about before we hired Christopher Vivell. So there's got to be more names that we don't know about. That Christopher Vivell and the other scouts and the other people, maybe Erik ten Hag, the other people who are in charge of looking at players, identifying talent, along with Christopher Vivell, are looking at, and we're going to hear about more names in the next 2 weeks. I really, really believe that, and I'm so excited to find out what other names. This isn't going to be like a 1-week job. This is going to be like the whole window, obviously. And I think in the next 2 weeks, you're going to hear about new names that you never even heard of. But the problem is, I think we need to make some sales. Hannibal Mejbri's got to go. Scott McTominay's got to go. Casemiro's got to go. But Facundo Pellistri's got to go. Like, we've got Willy Kambwala is going to Villarreal, which good luck, kid. I really like Willy Kambwala. I was a fan of his. The guy has a lot of heart and a lot of hunger. I think he's going to be fine. He's a little rough around the edges. He needs a role where he's playing, all the time so that he can learn and grow. And I think in 2 or 3 years, Willy Kambwala is going to be a good player, but he won't be our player. He'll be Villarreal's player, and good luck to him. Cheers to him. But anyway, the point is we've got a lot of sales to make. And Mason Greenwood is kind of holding out a little bit of business, so hopefully he'll be done. By the time you watch this video, hopefully Mason Greenwood is a here we go, and he's out. And then we got to start focusing on other sales. Now, the one story that's making me nervous is I heard about Bruno Fernandes wanting to leave. Not wanting to leave, considering leaving. I shouldn't say wanting to leave. So the Bruno Fernandes thing scares the piss out of me. I am scared shitless that Bruno Fernandes is actually going to leave, because if Bruno Fernandes leaves, that's a whole lot of business we got to do this summer, because if Bruno Fernandes leaves, we need to get 2 players in that are creative. One player is not going to do it. And I'll tell you why, because Bruno was available every freaking game. Not a lot of players can be available every freaking game to play 90 minutes. This man has an engine, and he's creative. So we need to get 2 creative players in, and creative players are not cheap. But then again, I don't think that if Bruno goes to Saudi that we'd get little bit of money. I think we'd get a lot of money for Bruno. I think we'd probably be able to afford 2 young creative players with the money we would get for Bruno. But honestly, a part of me hopes that he doesn't leave. I like Bruno. Let's hope he stays. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys want Bruno to stay or want Bruno to leave? Let me know in the comments below, but I'm hoping he stays, man. Because I don't think we have enough time in this window to do all the business we need to do and find his replacement. And like I said, I think his replacement is actually 2 players. I don't know. Another story I forgot to talk about earlier when we were talking about Leny Yoro is that Leny Yoro in the Relevo, this right here, Relevo is reporting that Leny Yoro has let Lille know that he is willing to stay for 1 more year and go to Real Madrid for free. I hope this story is bullshit. The reason why I say that is because it's not being reported by Fabrizio Romano. But then again, I literally saw this 5 minutes before I started recording this video. And I was going to start the show with this, but I didn't want to start the show on such a negative vibe. But I'm still mad about it I did a pretty good job of hiding my feelings until I got to this point. I am very mad about this story, but I'm hoping Relevo, whatever the hell their name is, are not a good outlet. Like, they're not reputable. Again, I'm waiting for Fabrizio to let us know if this is true or not. But basically, it says that he's forcing Lille to take whatever little money that Real Madrid offer because he's not willing to come to Manchester United, and that he's willing to stay there for one more year and go for free to Real Madrid. I hope that's not the case. And by the way, if this is a bullshit story and if that is a bullshit outlet, then fuck you, Relevo, for ruining my night. Because this is bull. I hate these kind of outlets like what we have here in America is like a National Enquirer where all they do is spread bullshit. I hate these kind of things. I really do hate these kind of things. And I hope this story is bullshit, though. With that said, I really hope Leny Yoro realizes that they're not valuing him. I mean, if there's things that you read that says Real Madrid have told Leny Yoro that they consider him the Kylian Mbappe of defenders. Bullshit, because you were willing to pay for Kylian Mbappe. You're willing to give Kylian Mbappe $100 million sign-on fee. Go ahead and bid $100 million and you get him. Actually, just bid $50 million and you get him. So don't give me that shit where like Real Madrid have like Leny Yoro know that he's a Kylian Mbappe of defenders in their eyes. That's bullshit. If Lenny's not watching this because I'm nobody, but if he was watching this or if somebody who knows him is watching this, you tell him that's bullshit. They do not think that. If they thought that, they would put their money where their mouth is. They don't think that. They don't value him. They want him to value them. And that's the way they operate. In other better news, much better news, someone we all suspected would never play for Manchester United again turned up at Carrington and has been training with the team. I know you guys all know who I'm talking about. That's right. Johnny Evans signed a new contract, baby. Yeah. What? Jadon? Yeah, Jadon too. Yeah, Jadon too. Jadon didn't sign a new contract, but Jadon's been training. Yeah, Jadon's back. He talked to Erik ten Hag. They kissed and made up. They both said they're sorry. And yeah, they're going to go on a camping trip together and go fishing and rekindle their relationship. Listen, I like the fact that Jadon Sancho is back in the squad. I do like it because I like competition in the squad throughout. I mean, I even saw a video today where you could just tell that Ahmad went after Jadon a little too rough. If I can find a video, you'll be watching it right now if I can find it. But I did see a video of Ahmad going after Jadon a little too rough. And that's normal. That's competition. Ahmad knows that like this guy now is going to take some of your playing time. And I don't know, man. Maybe Jadon's only back to rekindle like a so that he doesn't leave on ugly terms. Maybe he's still for sale. I think he is still for sale. Like, I think if somebody puts in a good bid, because you hear about like Juventus saying like, we'll trade you Chiesa, and we're like, dude, we don't want Chiesa. We don't need Chiesa. Thank you very much. Like, we just need the money. And I don't know if anybody's willing to put up the money because Jadon's wages are way too high. Also, listen, Jadon's a very, very talented player. Jadon on the ball is the most talented winger we have in our squad. On the ball. Meaning like his dribble ability and stuff like that. But his defensive work rate, questionable. More importantly, though, his end product is inconsistent. He had a couple of good seasons at Dortmund where he had Erling Haaland in front of him, and Erling Haaland was terrorizing the Bundesliga, and Jadon was getting a lot of assists and a lot of goals. And he would get the goals because Erling Haaland would take up like all the defense's attention, and he'd get a lot of assists because, again, Erling Haaland would make really good runs, making it easy for him to get assists. But also, let's not forget, that was the Bundesliga. In the Premier League, if Jadon is hungry and Jadon doesn't think that he's the final product yet, like if he believes that he still has to learn to get better with his end product, Jadon could be an amazing player in like 2 seasons if he really studies with the coaches and learns how to make himself better and actually have an end product after all those flashy dribbles and stuff of that nature. If he learns these kind of things, if he's hungry, he's going to be a great player. But the problem is we gave him too big a contract way too early in his career. And that, I don't know why he would be hungry. Nobody's going to give him a bigger, it's not like he's going to make $400,000 a week. He's already making $300,000 a week. So I don't know if he's hungry. It's all got to be like, it's within him now. It's his personality. And the kid, there's too many stories about the kid being late to training. That's not a sign of a hungry player. So I don't know how I feel about Jadon. Like I said, I do believe he's the most talented winger we have on the ball, but his end product is questionable, and I don't know if he's hungry enough to work at it and get better. What do you guys think? Am I out of my mind? If I'm out of my mind and you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. It's fine. And we'll talk about it. Now, lastly, I want to talk about the actual biggest addition we're making this week, and that is our new CEO, Omar Barada, who starts work this week. So now we've got the whole band together. Everyone's in now. Dan Ashworth's in, Jason Wilcock's in, Omar Barada's in, Erik Ten Hag is our manager, his 2 coaches are in, and we even hired a guy called Christopher Vivell that's going to identify talent for us for the spots that we need. This is the whole team together. I have a feeling that in the next 2 weeks, guys, we're going to start seeing a lot of news. Right when we start the tour, you're going to start hearing about outgoings, because some of these guys are not going to go on tour because they need to get out. I think Hannibal Mejbri is one of those guys. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Casemiro didn't get on the plane, because that means he's going, right? So we're going to find out a lot of things in the next, not even 2 weeks, in the next 10 days. In the next 10 days, we're going to have a lot of information and news on whether people are staying or going. It's going to be an exciting time. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking all the videos you've been liking for the last week. I used to add 1 subscriber a day 2 months ago. Literally, I would get 1 subscriber a day. I got 100 subscribers in the last 3 days. Yeah, 3 days actually. I said 4, but it was like 3.5 days. Thank you very much. If you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button. And if you don't mind, just click the like button. Let's get this video up to 50 likes too. Let's get some people in our community. Let's grow this community. I try to find as much time as I can with my busy work schedule to make these videos. I'm just making these for fun as of right now. Thank you so much for motivating me to keep going. Thanks, guys.